Hello and welcome to CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. Coming up. Ghanaians remember 10 years of the passing of late President Professor Evans Atta-Mills with separate ceremonies at the Asumdwe Park by the government and the National Democratic Congress.
My wife Rebecca and our children join me and the government in reiterating our sincere condolences to his wife, Nadu.
Any effort to give a facelift to this park called Asumdwe Park, where his mortar remains lying and where we're holding this event, should be welcomed.
Residents of Seshibosu Nkwanta appeal for increased police presence days after a suspected armed robber was burnt to death.
Police for more Bunsu Nkwanta no Musa. Ada se mo be ma edia be ka ho. Ana o mama mo patrol team a o mo strong. Na yesi na ma yeyam hihye yen.
Also in the news, Ghana Health Service maximizes preventive measures following the World Health Organization's alert on monkeypox virus. And later, Health Committee of Parliament unhappy with rate of COVID-19 vaccination in Ghana.
To be able to get herd immunity, a population of about 20 million, we are talking about 22 to 23 million people. And now they've done almost about 80 million. So we need to help to push it closer to 22. And they have vaccines to take care of about even 23 million people.
Grateful that you could join us. Let me introduce to you briefly Jude Mensah Duncan of the City Newsroom. Jude, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Hope you had a good weekend.
It was a great weekend.
Nice. All right, so we're moving straight into our stories for the day, but we'd like to also hear from you via the WhatsApp number 0550585832, 0550585832. You can also catch us on Facebook at City TV and on Twitter and Instagram at City TV GH. Let's move into our very first story. It's been 10 years since the death of the former president, the late former president J.E.A. Mills, and a celebration and commemoration was held in his honor. Let's take a look at this clip.
Now to the details of the stories. President Kwadwo says the body of former President John Evans Atta-Mills has not been tampered with. This comes after the family alleged that the government has allowed the Atta-Mills Institute to tamper with the grave of the former president.
He made this comment during the 10th anniversary celebration of former President John Evans Atta-Mills on Sunday at the Asumdwe Park. City News' Kennedy Chum has more in the following report read by Ellen Dapa.
Today marks 10 years since the demise of President John Evans Atta-Mills. He is the first sitting Ghanaian head of state to die in office and was subsequently laid to rest at the Asumdwe Park. John Evans Fifi Atta-Mills was a Ghanaian politician and legal scholar who served as President of Ghana from January 2009 to July 2012. Celebrating his anniversary, President Kwadwo described the former president as a visionary leader. The celebration also saw the commissioning of the rehabilitated Asumdwe Park, the burial place of the former president. However, prior to the celebration, there have been divisions where families of the late president have alleged that his body has been tampered with. Speaking during the commissioning, President Kwadwo says the public should reject such claims, indicating that the legacy of the former president will not be forgotten.
There have also been unfortunate accusations leveled by some against government about the supposed desecration of the tomb of the late president in the process of rehabilitating the park. Nothing could be further from the truth, and it is good to note that these false, malicious statements have been firmly dispelled and debunked by the Coastal Development Authority through the agency of its Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jerry Ahmed Shaib, in a public statement under his hand. My wife Rebecca and our children join me and the government in reiterating our sincere condolences to his wife, Nadu, his son, his entire family, to the National Democratic Congress, and indeed to the people of Ghana for their great loss. The man from Ekumfi Otuam will not be forgotten.
Applauding the president for his contribution to building the Asundre Park, the chief executive officer of the Atta-Mills Institute, Koku Anyidoho, indicated that he will ensure the regular maintenance of the park.
The road has been dark and lonely. The forest has been thick and unfriendly. The nights have been long and winding. The billows have been tempestuous and unfriendly. The tears have flowed from streams unending. Is this life? Yes, it is life. It is life. It is life. Through it all, I have found a friend in Jesus, and he tells me that one fine day, when this life is over, and when I serve him and my country well, when I impact my generation to the glory of God, he will give me a crown of glory and give me a hope. President John Evans Atta-Mills, I pledge to you on this same ground in 2020 that by the kind grace of God, I will not allow your final resting place to continue to remain a place of shame before the multitude and the hosts above. I promised to ensure that your memory is properly honored.
Shortly after the commissioning of the rehabilitated Asundre Park by the government, the National Democratic Congress also held a ceremony to honor the legacy of the former president at the same venue. Former President John Dramani Mahama also described the current controversy surrounding the death of John Atta-Mills as needless. According to him, the controversies dishonor the remarkable legacy of the late president.
It is therefore a matter of deep regret to me and many others that what should have been a solemn 10th anniversary where we celebrate this giant of a Ghanaian in history to reflect over his life and times and draw useful lessons from them, it was instead heralded by needless and orchestrated controversy about his final resting place. Any effort to give a facelift to this park called Asundre Park, where his mortal remains lie, and where we're holding this event, should be welcomed, as it is no more than Professor Mills would have deserved for his outstanding contributions to our nation's development and its forward march. It is, however, untenable, unconscionable, and uncanny for this to be done without recourse to his family, while involving individuals whose actions and conduct have only served to drag the dignified professor's name and memory into needless and unnecessary public controversy.
The NDC, on the other hand, urged Ghanaians to emulate the positive qualities of President John Atta-Mills.
President John Evans Atta-Mills personified the following attributes: service with integrity, honesty, selflessness, and leadership through service, what is now popularly called servant leadership. I believe firmly that if every citizen of this country, especially our leaders, internalize these attributes and consciously practice them every day, our beloved country would have entrenched for itself these sterling qualities by which alone great nations are built.
However, what do Ghanaians make of the commemoration of the late president's 10th anniversary since his passing?
It's better. President Mills doesn't deserve this. Today, we should have had one event, and everybody will have applauded President Kwadwo for the renovation, even though he didn't use his personal money, it's the taxpayers' money. But, you know, giving the authorization and bringing everybody together, imagine how his value will have gone up and how he will have been held in high esteem. And that is why I go back to my fundamental question. What will Professor Mills have done?
As a nation, we need to move on. We are happy that this has happened. We will forever remember his memory. And for me, the memory that is important to me is not just the peace portion, even though peace is good, it's the anti-corruption portion. He believed in anti-corruption. He believed that the nation must be built with love and with dedication and with the resources of the people.
One of the funny ones was when he was in Parliament and he wanted to mention the economy, and they said the economy. It was very funny. Then also when we had an issue with a foreign affair issue, that he said, as a country, we should learn to be UPSM, let's concentrate on us. Those are the few things that I really remember about him.
Well, may he so continue to rest in peace. Do you remember exactly where you were 10 years ago when
I actually do remember when I was in Accra Academy and the news broke out, and it was really a sad scene. It was really sad, very unfortunate.
I remember I was in the newsroom. I used to work on the 2TV then. I was in the newsroom, and then the news started trickling in. Now we had to rush and seek confirmation and all that.
I can imagine.
And, oh boy. In the heat of the moment,
because
I had to switch clothes and jump on TV to break the news.
Oh, wow.
It was serious.
You broke the news on TV.
Exactly.
I can imagine
and
what was going
heavy,
through you.
Very heavy at the time because I hadn't done a thing like that before. Struggling to put words together. Wow. But anyways,
you probably never imagined that in your lifetime you would have done something like that.
Never, but it seems to be a thing that more or less is recurring because I had to do same for the late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John.
I mean, he was a former president, so the dynamics are quite different.
Anyways, the 10th anniversary celebration has been held. I mean, for me, I would have wanted a single event where everybody was paramount among them, peace. We would always remember him for peace. So all the seeming controversies surrounding his tomb and all that prior to the anniversary really wasn't worth it for me.
I mean, and I totally agree with you. And for me, I think it would have been more dignifying to the memory of the late former president if the 10th year of his passing, the commemorative events that we saw at the Assembly Park involved government, the family, and the NDC. Because to be very honest with you, the man we were remembering on Sunday transcended partisan politics.
Exactly.
Remember at the commissioning of the N1 interchange, for instance, when against all odds he invited his predecessor, former President John Evans to join him to cut sword for that particular project. So this is a man who transcended partisan politics. And for me, I feel the conversation needs to go beyond just who was invited at the event and who wasn't invited at the event. But you see, Nana Tufo, if you look at the life and legacy of the former president we are talking about today or right now, I mean, he was a man who, in many respects, had values that we need to emulate as a nation. So the whole simmering tensions and all of that for me is really needless, and it doesn't speak well of the values the man sought to leave behind for this country.
But I mean, I think it was important that the president spoke on the matter to clarify all the accusations and the counter-accusations and all that, to put the matter to rest. However, I would have preferred that, I mean, one event, let's have the NDC, MPP, government, the family come together. Because you see, what brought about all this controversy was the how do you call it, the renovation or rehabilitation of the park, where the family felt they had been left out, and that the Mills Institute had been given a go-ahead to do this, but later we found out that really was the Coastal Development Authority that was doing it in some sort of partnership with the Mills Institute. But I mean, what is important is that at least when the green light was given for the rehabilitation, perhaps the family should have been consulted.
Yeah, I mean, I can't for the life of me imagine the family not being present at this very particular, this very important event. Nana Tufo, like I'm saying, if you look at the man we are celebrating, for instance, his legacy speaks for itself to a very large extent. So I would have expected that the family would have been very present at this event. And to be the greatest of respect to the Atta-Mills Institute, I don't think in such an event, for instance, you place a lot more premium or emphasis on the part of the Atta-Mills Institute as compared to the family or even the NDC who he represented almost his adult life. So it was slightly responsible on the part of government to seek to project the Atta-Mills Institute. We've heard people on social media condemn the fact that even the bust built in his honor didn't have the name of the president, and it's Atta-Mills Institute. And mind you, for the most part of his adult life. It was the NDC. The reason why we are celebrating him, even the reason why the Asumdue Park is in place, is because he rode on the ticket of the NDC to become the nation's leader, and until his untimely demise. So the NDC needs that recognition. The family, most importantly, need that recognition. So any event where these two parties or these two groups are not involved, to a very large extent, discredits the seriousness you would expect the public to attach to this. And I agree when we say we should have, for instance, had one event, because at the end of it all, it's about unity, it's about peace, and it's about working together towards a common good of the country. So they are not scenes you have expected, especially after 10 years of his memory. So very unfortunate that it had to happen like that. But also another important conversation when they say that, for instance, the park was left to ruins or it was in a poor state. We heard the president in his speech make reference to that. I mean, as far back as 2018, the Graphic reported a story in July 23rd July 2018 that the park was left in ruins. So for me, for the president to come out and say that he got a call from the CEO of the Atta-Mills Institute to refurbish the place, for me is neither here nor there, because in any case, I'm sure there are government agencies responsible for making sure that the place is in good shape. So if it was not, then it means that someone was clearly not doing the job. So for it to take a private organization to inform the president that the place was in bad shape, for me is neither here nor there. And in 2020, there was a remembrance ceremony held there. We saw pictures, we saw scenes from the place, and it didn't look like it was in a really, really terrible
shape. And really, what happens
that.
next? Under whose management will it be left, so that we don't see deterioration again?
I think the department
will have to spend money to renovate again.
I think the Department of Parks and Gardens should take it up and ensure that the place is kept in pristine conditions. Because for me, it's one of the ways we can continue to honor the legacy of the former president. But the seeming tensions, the name calling, it's unfortunate.
Very, very unfortunate.
Honor the memory of the late president.
I think it's the time to reflect on the life of the late former President John Evans Atta-Mills, the values he stood for, and really time to actually teach some of the things he stood for. I mean, this was a fine legal brain. I mean, I'm sure there's so much we can learn and pass on from his life and, of course, his legacy and his memory. But let's now take you to the Western North region. Residents of Seshi Bonsung Kwanta are calling for increased police presence.
Residents of Seshi Bonsung Kwanta in the Owusu district of the Western North region are calling on the government to urgently put measures in place to help clamp down on the terrifying armed robbery cases in the area. This comes on the back of a suspected armed robber who was snatched from the police by a mob and set ablaze at the forecourt of the Bonsung Kwanta police station. The following report details the horrible situation in which they find themselves.
Armed robbery incidents in the Bonsung Kwanta enclave and surrounding communities has become a normal routine as traders, travelers among others are attacked on regular basis by these unscrupulous people who rob them of their money, mobile phones and other valuables. Following the arrest of some 3 persons suspected to be involved in the most recent incident in the area that led to the death of 1 person who was snatched from the police and burned to ashes. Although the 2 other suspects remain in police custody for further investigations, City News' interaction with residents on our visit to the community showed that the people feel insecure and want government to intervene. The assemblyman for Seshi Bonsung Kwanta, Bawa Ibrahim, says the mob action is an unfortunate incident. However, he appeals to government to beef up the police personnel and also provide them with a vehicle.
Said the medical can say a mabuno a eco police station or Mokoyina or Mutraja to Arabanum. Menuya a hano said the medical can as a robbery issue a doswaha. I make us say a police for ya where you come nipa bebre. Into as a mabuno de yaw and a 2 sana mono. Into the idea can you say, Bibi says, Mabunia Batrakaka. Na yenya potone hwehwem se de beya betimi de asumdue abro man no na se nipa bone for kra wo man ma yetimi atu.
Branch Secretary for GPRTU at Bonsunkwanta, Morgan Boachi, narrates how persistent armed robbery has negatively affected their work.
Sisi apa di egu yedwuma pa ebi se ama so free akaji so ebesena kokuma se kura but sisi obi entrim foroka e se ekwanu ehu a sisi aso ofa na se utim bedu na se wenya otiri adidim sisi pa ebi se ama se akwandifo na country no ayedin.
Some of the drivers also shared their past encounters with armed robbers with City News.
Nka we se abamu mpanyifo nyina aba o man yekure ha no na ombehwe ye kwan so amane ayehu armed robbers edi enya papa nya asem tetwa at the same time ye kwan so san bebi ho no bebi tututu nti armed robbers ni begina kwan so a papa se we driver ni bia obetimi edi akokudro bi ne ani adin bia fa kwan mu no nam se kwan nya bebi tututu nti no ntimi nya de enko na ye se we so attack wa simple man
yelodu kura na ekokwan so a yeyam hyehye yen enam se an robbers a ha yenti yehunu oha bebre me ankasa me kasa kura na an robbers atrete me ashutu me tu makoma ko 4 badnyame enedi mu afofie a meda so te ase enti yesre aban no se obetimi aboa police for mo Bonsunkwanta na Owusu ada se mo bema ebia beka ho ana o mama mo patrol team omoye strong na yesi enama yeyam hyehye yen.
That notwithstanding, some businessmen at Bonsunkwanta also expressed their ordeals as far as trading is concerned.
Oh, yajuma yem de breyi pa se oton wa de bi kula na wan se this ka mo bi amfani ma mbe na so be fo ka akode ani en ha ho osiga ndi ontim fam kodu e be jini nyina wo kwan so tri yi pa e dey create me 2 times and I'm in young Tokura or Hakura. If I film. A bizarre man, boy, and police for them, so a blow of carbian here. You can this Jaboso and son police can say about Cope. You see our from Macromas, be a sensible before.
Mantibo, I missed 3 times. They were to miss 3 times. It was 2 times, it was what that Cope. Or why you say? About Sunday said, no man el coquansoa. Your bread, intimate funk, we have become from Paget at the time, Sunday, the no one alcohol. Sun said, Utumoto, and I said, 2 car grandpa. If you are not a robber, no baby, no show. 2 motor, and now 2 car, and no friend, you say, Nippers Massivo. Jabasana may brepa. Yes, I man, boy, and saying, police for no more. Owusu, I feel almost any car. It's a BBC grandpa, police for some la. Omuntimi, my son, a Caribbean, ha. Omitimi diaco. Yes, I ban a senka, and the money we had and come a police for me on for castle and Macahoma.
So the people here in Bonsunkwanta are living in fear and panic as the cases of robbery continue to rise in these areas, making life very difficult to them, most especially the businessmen here. So they want government to beef up the security situation here so that they can live here peacefully. Reporting for City News, Stanley Bwedi, Bonsunkwanta.
It's important that the police investigate some of these matters and then prosecute so that there's some proper punishment that will deter others, and then give confidence to the citizens that really, if we leave these matters to the police, we'll get some respite at the end of the day. But you see, when the police is seen not to be doing its work, when there are no prosecutions ongoing, but the crime continues to increase, the residents get tired. Listen, we are not condoning violence in any way, but of course, when the residents get fed up, because you see, they keep complaining that this is not a one-off event. They've been having robbery attacks over and over and over and over. It's just unfortunate that they had to take up the law into their own hands. And you see, if you actually follow this story, they snatched the guy from the grips of the police.
True. We don't condone the youth or any, for that matter, any person at all taking the law into their own hands. But it gets to a point where the level of frustration with the system makes people want to do some of these things. It's unfortunate. And over the weekend, we heard from the Bureau of Public Safety, for instance, where they say that the use of firearms in violent crimes has increased by 4%, and this is significant for me. A federal breakdown shows the number of deaths that have occurred from the past. It was in the year 2021 was around 501. Now it's 533, and these are very worrying numbers. It goes back again to the question of who is monitoring, who is doing the surveillance, what is our intelligence system like as a country. And recently we had the bribe takers list that was recently published, having the intelligence unit of the country placing quite prominently on that list. These are things that are very unfortunate and would lead to some of these instances of proliferation of firearms in the system and in society. So it's unfortunate, and sometimes we talk about these things, bribe takers, and we laugh, but these are the direct results of some of the failings of institutions who have been mandated to check some of these things. A 4% increase in firearms in society is worrying. And you see, we don't want to get to certain societies. You know the conversation of what it's like in some foreign countries where young students or people just pick guns, then they go into schools and do all of those things. So to curb and make sure that we don't get to that point, we need to start putting in place necessary policies and structures that will make sure that we are able to check some of these things. Are they locally made guns? Are they foreign? What are the checks that went through? So when you keep some of these things and you tackle some of these things, then of course you are fighting the means through which some of these robbers get access to these firearms to commit these atrocities. So we need to look at policy again. We need to go back to the conversation on even moral ethics, because if, for instance, an official at the intelligence bureau of any of our security agencies and you are taking bribes, what message are you sending out to the ordinary Ghanaian or to the public? So these little things go a long way to check or address some of the problems you are facing right now. But we need to have a conversation about policy. We need to have a conversation about the moral makeup of the country, really, because conversations about the bribe taking and all of those things really do not help at all in some of these conversations. Because
you see some of these things when they dampen the public confidence in our security agencies, then really we're heading into a lawless state.
Exactly, and it becomes
very dangerous.
We get to a point of anarchy where there's total disregard for the rule of law. So we don't want to get there, and the reason why duty bearers need to start taking these tough decisions. Let's look again at our policy. Let's look again at our laws. Where are the loopholes? How are we able to address? For instance, I saw a road safety commission in the bribe takers list, and if we are a state agency mandated to ensure that there are not road accidents and you are rather taking bribes and allowing people to do whatever they like on the road, we'll be seeing a lot. So you see, some of these little things go a long way to affect society, and in that instance you wouldn't realize, but the ripple effect years on, months on, become very evident for all to see. So we want to admonish then again the youth in Seshi that, I mean, as much as it gets very frustrating, they shouldn't take the law into their own hands.
I mean, it's important that we drum that home, because quite recently we saw in Kaswa where an innocent person was almost lynched.
True.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in one of our reports. Really, if you see how he had been beaten, the scars and all that, and the fact that he had earlier made a report to the police that his life was being threatened because someone says they saw somebody like him.
So unfortunate.
I mean, it's so unfortunate. Now that gentleman is traumatized and really needs help. So really, it's important that we drum home the fact that people need not take the law into their own hands. But then again, it's also important that police or security agencies are up and doing in order to breed or to instill some level of confidence in the public, so that we can really rely on them, bring our matters to them to handle for us, so that we don't get people taken up or engaging in some of these acts.
But the report from the Bureau of Public Safety reported that the total death reported increased by 9%. Clearly, these are not pleasant numbers at all. And like I was saying, duty bearers need to take action, decisive action on some of these things.
Let us know what you think. Send us your comments via the WhatsApp number 0550585832. But stay with us on CNR Extra, still ahead. Alert on monkeypox virus. Ghana Health Service maximizes preventive measures following World Health Organization's alert on monkeypox virus. We'll bring you the details shortly. Stay with us.
Creamy Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. The show is interactive, and so send in your comments via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. Let's move straight into our next story. The Ghana Health Service is intensifying preventive efforts as the WHO has declared an alert on monkeypox virus.
Has recorded 34 cases of the monkeypox virus. 30 of these cases are being managed in the Greater Accra region. In June this year, Ghana recorded her first case of the disease, which has now been declared a public health emergency of international concern. To date, monkeypox deaths have only been recorded in Africa, where a more dangerous version of the virus is spreading, mainly in Nigeria and Democratic Republic of Congo. Speaking at a press briefing, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, said district response have been trained to respond to the situation in the country.
Monkeypox is close contact, and so what we have actually mentioned is the fact that anybody with those postular symptoms, you don't touch with your bare hands. You train health workers and other people, and the protocol is that as soon as you see such, please report so that I don't spread it among others, so that we can also find contact. So basically that's the protocol, but the main thing is basically personal hygiene. If it's improved, the chance of being transmitted from one to another is like I said, it's very, very close contact. That's how it's transmitted. The new case, Sarah, your question was okay, let me answer the monkeypox one. You want to know where in Accra they are? Okay. I don't know whether it's for personal reasons so that you know where to pass or you know where not to pass. But in Accra, there's a lot of movement around. So even if I pick one in Kaneshi, you never know where that person goes across. But it's mainly in the main Accra municipality. That's where we have it. So if we say it's in Teshi and he works in Nungwa, it doesn't help you.
So the total number of confirmed cases, 34. 6 regions have recorded cases, and we understand the Greater Accra region is leading with over 50% of the confirmed cases.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a news, very unpleasant news, but we expect that Ghanaians should begin to take personal hygiene very seriously, like we heard from the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje, because one of the easy ways of transfer from this particular virus is by contact and by face-to-face engagements, like we heard in the news or we've been reading. So we expect Ghanaians to take personal hygiene very, very serious. And also, we want to see a lot more of what the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service is doing to curb an outbreak, or in a case of some major outbreak like we saw with COVID-19, because mind you, the World Health Organization has issued a red alert, and in some countries we understand that it's become a major public health concern now, even ahead of COVID-19. So we expect the Ghana Health Service to be up and doing in terms of containing it and making sure that it doesn't become another pandemic that we have to deal with in this country. But like we were saying, take your personal hygiene very serious. Make sure you continue the previous protocols we had to do with COVID. Wash your hands, maintain a healthy distance, and some of these things will go a long way too. And very importantly, you also want to admonish that if you begin to feel any of the symptoms, so we understand headaches, muscle aches, back aches, exhaustion, chills, some of these things are very early symptoms of the virus, and of course rashes, which is probably the most commonly visible, associated symptom. You contact a health care official as soon as possible if you begin to feel some of these things, in order not to make it a more complicated situation. But we want to admonish really the Ghana Health Service to be up and doing.
Well, I understand there's some collaboration between the Ghana Health Service and the Veterinary Services Department, where they are conducting some assessment in affected communities. There's also contact tracing, and then of course they're doing some follow-up and education. I think the education bit is where we're lagging behind a bit, and so that should be intensified.
And on the education bit, it's very important, because I feel like the researchers we have here, and even health communicators, need to be up and doing, because you take foreign material, or you want to read about monkeypox for instance, the information out there is really African biased, so they start to create a picture that it's probably, some even say the Congo virus and all of those things. So we need a lot more of our researchers, a lot more of our health communicators coming out, doing the education, saying the facts as it is, and educating people on ways they can protect themselves. Because even on the CDC, for instance, if you read their website and on what their frequently asked questions on monkeypox is about, for instance, one of the things I was reading was saying that people who recorded it in America, for instance, were people who had recently traveled from Africa. And look at their numbers. Are they saying all of those people? So we need our health communicators, we need our researchers here to also begin the conversation.
So we can have the narrative set right. Because so far, I mean, the reports we are hearing and seeing is that so far all the deaths related to monkeypox have happened in Africa. And then also it goes ahead to say that, I mean, there's a deadly variant that is spreading also in Africa.
If you understand how imagery works, for instance, when the news broke out with regards to monkeypox, all the online tabloids, the international agencies, all their featured images had symptoms on a black person. These are very tiny details, but go a long way to form mental blocks in their mind and create certain impressions. So, like I'm saying, we need our health communicators and our researchers coming out, speaking and educating people on what it is they should be doing to protect themselves.
Very important. Let us hear from you. Let us know your thoughts. 0550585832. Still ahead on CNR Extra. Health Committee of Parliament unhappy with rate of COVID-19 vaccination in Ghana. We'll be right back with the details. Please stay. Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nanatufo Boateng, and I'm here with Jude Mensah Duncan. We're having a conversation on some of the stories that made it to a major news bulletin, CNR, here on City TV. Let's move on to our next story. And the Health Committee of Parliament is unhappy with the rate of COVID-19 vaccination in the country. Let's take the details.
The Health Committee of Parliament has called for intensified stakeholder collaboration to help Ghana achieve its target in COVID-19 vaccination. Members of the committee are currently engaging health authorities and other interest and influential groups in their respective constituencies as part of efforts to get more Ghanaians to take the vaccines. Chairman of the committee, Dr. Nana Ayew Afriyie, says efforts must be made to ensure available COVID-19 vaccines do not go waste. City News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
In the Ashanti region, for instance, health authorities are worried they will not be able to achieve the 70% target of vaccinating the general populace. Over 1 million inhabitants of the population, representing 42.2%, mostly within the Kumasi metropolis, are fully vaccinated. Health authorities attribute the low vaccination numbers to misconceptions and vaccine hesitancy.
Prevent further infections, we need to vaccinate a minimum of about 70% of the target population so as to get the herd immunity that will be required to suppress the infection. So if you don't attain that coverage, then it's likely that the infection can come up, as we saw previously, and then it's likely we'll get another wave. That's the reason why we want at least the target group, minimum of 70% to be vaccinated before we can say that, oh, at least we've covered enough so as to prevent further infection. So that is our target.
The Health Committee of Parliament is taking up initiatives to help shore up the country's vaccination drive.
Everybody must come on board because the crux of the issue is many of us in the urban centers and the cities are all vaccinated. And if there's going to be a wave, it's not going to attack those in the cities and the urban centers. In any case, if they even get it, it's going to be on the mild form. And what will happen is that the virus will be finding its way to those virgin people, and most of the virgin people will be in the rural areas. And to be able to get herd immunity in a population of about 20 million, we are talking about 22 to 23 million people. And now they've done almost about 80 million. So we need to help to push it closer to 22. And they have vaccines to take care of about even 23 million people. Another worrying thing in the Ashanti region here is those who have taken the first dose from the ages of 15 on are about 60% for the first dose. However, for the second dose, they are about 42%. So it means that those who even took the first dose are not coming for the second dose. Unlike some of us who have even taken the third dose. So that is a problem. And the members of the committee are all in, everybody, we have groups in all the regions. So what we're doing here is just what they are doing in all the other regions. Both sides of the house, majority and minority, everybody is speaking to it.
The Health Committee wants traditional and religious leaders to use major occasions to educate people to go for the vaccines.
So we need to get the opinion leaders to come on board. Of course, it includes the pastors, the citizens, the chiefs, the NGOs, in wherever places that you work, and the MPs who speak and their people listen to them, the political actors and factors in the communities to come on board so that people would encourage the families, friends, and wherever they are, to go and take the vaccine.
Although the Ashanti region has no active COVID-19 cases, health authorities insist that achieving a vaccination target was necessary.
Parliament's Select Committee on Health is calling for a strong institutional collaboration to enhance Ghana's vaccination drive. Hafiz Tijani, City News, Kumasi.
It's very worrying how we are behaving as if we are out of the woods. We are not out of the woods yet. The buck stops with leadership once again. And so we need to commend the Health Committee of Parliament really taking up on itself to go on these stores and drumming home the need to intensify the vaccination drive.
The communication has not gone down well. It started, we must admit, it started very well. The president himself
the updates
was the first person to take it. Leadership by example, Parliament followed, political leadership followed, church leadership followed. So the campaign started quite well, but along the line, we fell off quite bad. look at the numbers, for instance, the total doses given to Ghana as it stands now, to 20.4 million as at end of June 2022. Now, the fully vaccinated in Ghana is just about 7.8 million. So you look at the numbers, and the percentage of the vaccinated in the population is just about 25.4%. You compare it to China's 89.6%, compared to the US's 67%, compared to Brazil's 80.4%. We are clearly not doing something right. So we'd have to go back to the way we started. I mean, make sure the education goes down the line. I mean, for now, it looks like the misconceptions or the stereotypes around the virus, the vaccines, is what is thriving. So you get people still repeating the same old lines and the myth and all of those things. So you want education on the vaccine, the energy rechanneled again, and we expect government to be doing a lot more of some of these things.
It's important to intensify education on the vaccines so that we can deal with the hesitancy that seems to have crept into the system, and then also communication on some of these things, because clearly we are not out of the woods yet, and even more threatening or dangerous is the outbreaks that we are recording now, because now we are having to deal with monkeypox, and so the health issues keep compounding, and we already know how weak our health system is. So if we don't nip this in the bud now,
you see, Nana, what we even fail to acknowledge in this particular situation is that the re-emergence of the various variants and all of these things even go a very long way to derail our economy. So, for instance, one of the reasons governments gave us the reasons for going for the 750 Afriyie loan was that as of the time of implementing the budget, then there was a re-emergence and the re-imposition of restrictions due to COVID. So when some of these things, when there's another subtle breakout of the virus, it goes a long way to affect the country than we can just imagine. It's not just about hospitals filling up. It's not just about the place or the hospitals or the other health centers being in poor shape. It also affects the economy in ways that we don't even think about. So we need to really look at some of these things again and ensure that political leadership, government leadership plays a key role in that.
All right, thank you very much, Jude Mensah Duncan. Today we're having to wrap up early because pretty soon we'll be taking our viewers to Parliament, where the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is expected to present the mid-year budget review. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Jude.
Thank you so much.
Always good to see you. And many thanks to you, of course, for choosing City TV and, of course, for watching CNR Extra. We'll see you again same time tomorrow. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. Bye-bye.